I the a-hole for accidentally shading my sister-in-law's wedding choices after I stated my wedding rules. Buckle up, folks. This is going to be a great video. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Jamie Wolfer. I'm your online wedding planner. Navigating weddings is really difficult. I will be the first person to tell you that, and I do this for a living, okay? So I understand the need to rush to Reddit to express your woes to complete strangers. Actually, I don't know if I'd ever do that on a Reddit thread, but I can understand the need to because planning a wedding is really difficult. So if you're here for the first time, hi, welcome. So glad you're here. I'd be thrilled if you subscribed, stuck around. I can help you plan your wedding as inexpensively as possible while still being flawless and wonderful and stress-free. We got podcasts. We've got email support. We've got an online course. I got the whole kit and caboodle here for you if you want to plan your wedding. But if you're just here for the AITA threads, then boy, oh boy, are you in luck. I've got a few of them today for us to work through. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into it. I'm getting married in 3 months, and I've sent out the invitations. In the invites and emails I've sent to my guests, I've only requested of people to avoid wearing white. Oh gosh, did you see the last one? Is this the same person? Wait, no, is this the bride from the last one? People get weird about white, but that's fine. And understandably, but also like, maybe we just take a deep breath. Okay, for obvious reasons. And emerald green, bridesmaid dress color. I've also asked people to RSVP until a certain date, or else I won't include them in the reception dinner since price per person is very expensive, so I don't want to pay for people who won't show up at all. Basically, those are the 2 rules. Nothing else. Kids are invited, families are invited, and I couldn't care less about what my guests choose to wear except for those 2 colors I mentioned above. All right, so we'll give some grace. It doesn't sound like you're being too crazy about these rules. Everything makes sense so far, especially the RSVP one. I don't know what it is about RSVP dates, but it just goes right over people's heads. They forget, they don't RSVP on time, and you are waiting on that number fervently. Can you fervently wait? I don't know. For context about my sister-in-law, she's my fiance's sister. We have an okay relationship, not extremely friendly, but we still don't hate each other and we get along. Great. During my fiance's birthday celebration, some friends and I were chatting about the wedding, and they were telling me how they were surprised how chill I am about the wedding rules and how refreshing it is to go to a wedding where they won't feel like they're walking on eggshells. Goodness gracious, who are your friends? And also, send your friends to my channel so I can help them plan a wedding so they can be nice to you while they plan it, because I help them be stress-free. Okay, thank you. I said that this is not me at all, and I just want my guests to have fun as well, so I don't want to put many limitations. The girlfriend of one of my fiance's friends also showed me the dress she's thinking of wearing to our wedding and wanted my approval on whether it's acceptable or I believe she'd overshadow me. It's a yellow dress that's on the sexy and revealing side, but honestly, I loved it and told her to indeed go ahead and wear it. I told her I'm the bride. It's not easy to overshadow the bride, and if someone does, well, sucks for me, but it's really not that deep. Okay, we are loving your healthy perspective. Because really, like, unless someone shows up in a wedding dress, which I'm sure has happened, most people aren't there to try to overshadow you. They're just using it as an excuse to look really, really good for one night, right? They're not out to get you personally, even though it might feel like that. Or they might be. I don't know. Just kidding. They're not. Don't panic. I didn't say it in order to shade my sister-in-law, but she took offense to everything I said and called me a pretentious a-hole. What? The reason she took offense is because she had multiple rules on her wedding, child-free, strict dress code, and all that. That's okay. We abided by those rules back then because her wedding, her rules, of course. I never intended to offend her. I was just stating my own rules and mindset behind all my organization. She called me out and said I enjoyed subtly shading her. She called me a snake and told me that if I have something to say, I should say it in her face. She and her husband left the party. That escalated quickly. My mother-in-law told me that my sister-in-law overreacted indeed, but I'm also at fault because I flaunted how chill and different I am and rubbed it in her face to make her feel bad about her own wedding. My fiance said I did nothing wrong, and sister-in-law will grow up and get over it. Could I be the a-hole? What a riotous way to get started. Okay, this sounds to me like we are going to be probably battling these competitive feelings from the sister-in-law for a long time to come. Because if you choose to have children, that's going to then be presented into the realm of conversation or battle, so to speak. How you're raising them. Do you send them to school? Do you homeschool them? What choices are you making for parenting? What clothes do you put them? What clothes do you not put them in? This is like, my guess is this is going to be indicative of what could be more of like a lifetime of how dare you try to upstage me. You are probably going to be the more chill one in this scenario. moving forward. Oh, I haven't said if you're the a-hole or not. I don't think you are. I think she's definitely overreacting. I think figuring out how to put a boundary up on this really quickly is only going to behoove you and your fiance moving forward to be like, hey, I'm just naturally going to be more chill. I think it's better to nip this in the bud pretty quickly so you don't have to deal with a lifetime of this or be prepared to potentially deal with a lifetime of this, but just a boundary of like, hey, that's not me trying to throw shade. I'm so sorry that's how it was perceived. That was so not my intent. You know me. I'm just laid back. I'm chill. I'm breezy. This is me being breezy. So if you choose to make different choices, that's okay. I think that your event was great. I had a great time. That's not me trying to throw shade. We're very different people, and that'd be super weird if I tried to copy you rule for rule, right? So that's all right. And just diffuse the situation. Do I think you owe her an apology? No. But that's personally maybe how I would handle that to diffuse it. To then lay that groundwork, that foundation of like, you and I both know we're different people, so I don't know why you're freaking out about this, right? Right. But we want to make sure that we nip this in the bud. We want to make sure that we make those statements now so we are not processing this for the next 10, 15, 20, 50 years. Because you're marrying into this family, right? So how do we make sure we're navigating these conversations with as much grace as possible, but also not letting this behavior continue? What does that look like? Let's read through some of these comments real quick. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law called you a snake when all you were doing was saying a bunch of rules for your guests isn't your style. Sounds like narcissistic behavior to me. Not the a-hole. As you've told it doesn't sound like you mentioned her wedding at all. Sounds like she may be insecure about her wedding rules. Maybe someone has mentioned it to her. It's funny because if you keep reading a little bit further, the OP shares a little bit further. The thing is, it's been years since her wedding. The fact that she was so offended over me talking about my present wedding and present choices and thought I was shading her past choices when I didn't even have her wedding in mind is quite ridiculous or hilarious, depending on how you see it. Yeah, especially if it's been years. Isn't there like a statute of limitations on something like this where, once it's been 2 years since your wedding, other people are allowed to talk about weddings without having it be a reflection of your wedding? Right? Otherwise, that would get weird. I think my favorite comment, though, says, it's the rare bridezilla who can manage to keep on being a bridezilla with someone else's wedding. Goodness gracious. Okay, next up. Am I the a-hole for wanting to have my wedding in my dad's farm? This will be interesting. This is also a very hot button thing that a lot of people don't realize that they're stepping into, having a backyard event or an event at a friend's house or a family member's house. A lot of expectations if they're not very clearly explained. We do a ton of backyard weddings or Airbnb weddings before they were, not allowed to happen anymore. So you have to have very clear conversations, expectations, etc. surrounding these, because things start to get really dicey when you're talking about somebody's property. So that's kind of like what my brain thinks going into this. My fiance and I recently got engaged. We discussed a few things about the wedding, and I told my fiance that I'd like to have the wedding in my dad's farm. Now, to give context about the farm, this one was my dad's farm where we grew up. Mother abandoned us. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. We didn't have much, and Dad struggled to keep us afloat through the years. He had many chances to sell the farm, but he refused and said it was the only thing he had when he had nothing else. He passed away 5 years ago. Oh, sweet thing. He couldn't get a chance to attend my wedding, but I thought since his spiritual presence in the farm is strong that I could have the wedding there. This way, I'm including him in my milestone and having him be there to support me spiritually. My fiance laughed at this illogical thinking of mine and said that I better just pay for a venue, but I cannot afford it. He doesn't believe that me and my family cannot afford a venue. And then he and his mom started complaining about what the guests will say about the chosen place for the wedding, how they will basically laugh, and how the guests themselves are of high class and inviting them to the farm will make them, fiance and family, look small. Whoo! I pointed out the sentimentality aspect, but my fiance lashed out at me saying that I was being a dictator and that the farm represents zero sentimentality to him and his family. Well, no, duh, because it's not your family farm, you bonehead. Woo! We started arguing and he suggested I get a loan or something and forget the whole farm idea even after I explained how we could make the place look elegant with lighting and decorations, but he was having none of it. Oh, I'm so mad right now. Girl, where are your running shoes? And just kidding, we'll unpack it a little bit further, but let's just get through this first. His mom pulled me aside yesterday and urged me to let go of this horrible idea and actually start figuring out a way to pay for a decent venue. I stopped speaking to her despite her pressuring me via hourly phone calls. Oh, honey. My fiance is giving me silent treatment at the moment. Context. Their problem is with the state of the farm, but I suggested doing some decorations to make it more appealing. Where I live, the bride and her parents are expected to handle the cost of the wedding. Okay. So let me get this straight. You don't have parents in your life. So who's paying for this? You are. Unless there's some other donor or some other person or contributor in your life that I may not be privy to, that may not be part of this conversation, that I haven't seen yet, like, this is all on you. And your fiance is saying you should go take out a loan to pay for this. Okay, I'm going to give fiance the benefit of the doubt. You picked this person. You love this person. You love him, right? You think he's great. You think he's the bee's knees. You're excited to spend the rest of your life with him. Planning a wedding can be really indicative of what kind of behaviors can come out later, both in your family and in your fiance's family. This is all like maybe precursors to what you might experience down the road. So navigating these as a unit, as a paired unit, to do this as successfully as possible is of the utmost importance, because you will run into big financial issues like this moving forward. You'll run into issues with his mom and trying to communicate whose side is he on and how are you having these conversations. But for you, this is big. This is deep. I'm sharing that I want to get married here because this is the last connection I have to my dad, and you're laughing at me? That's uncle. That's like, you don't cross this line. That is my line in the sand. You don't mock me for missing my dad. You don't tease me for wanting to have it there. You can say, I don't want to get married there. You're allowed to say that. But you do not get to make fun of me for feeling this attachment to my father and this farm, who I lost 5 years ago. Those who have a dad in their lives have expectations for what they want at their wedding, with their father being present or their father figure being present. And some do, some don't. And that's for each person to unpack, but you clearly have that connection. This might be something that deserves a true, dedicated sit-down conversation. Hey, you don't have to like the state of the farm, okay? You don't have to. You could be nervous about how people perceive that. That's okay. You're allowed to have your feelings on that. What you're not allowed to do is you're not allowed to make fun of me for this, okay? You can talk to me about my reasonings. You can talk to me about the vibe, the aesthetic. That's one thing, right? But you're not going to make fun of me for this. You're also not going to tell me, as your future wife, to go take out a loan so I can afford a nicer location, because that's just saddling us with debt. That means that we're not seeing things eye to eye on a financial perspective that I think I would like to see eye to eye on. Because moving forward, does that mean that anytime we hit any sort of financial hardship moving forward that you're just going to want to take a loan out for it? Because that is not what I want to sign myself up for. And it sounds to me like your fiance might have grown up with a little bit more wealth, and you grew up with a dad who was struggling to make ends meet. So coming from a family that also had really tight financial times, I know what it looked like to watch my mom stretch $1, right? I know what it felt like to have my parents say, no, you can't get soda with dinner because we need to save every single penny. Everyone gets water, but with lemon, it's a different perspective. And so finding a way to meet eye to eye on finances is difficult enough as is. But we're seeing some pretty glaring differences here. Don't make fun of me for wanting to be close to my dad, okay? Treasure that, respect that, it's precious. It's one thing if you don't like the venue, but it's another thing if you're gonna make fun of me for this. Your financial response to this, that's not something I want to sign up for. That's not where my brain goes. That's not how I work. That's not how finances work in my mind. That's ridiculous. You're allowed to not like the look of the farm, right? You're allowed to not like the state, the condition that it's in. That's fine. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to attack me or come after me. Attack is a very strong word. Or come after me in such a way that makes me stop talking because you're uncomfortable with the aesthetics of this, right? You know this person way better than I do. You know their family. You've already said yes to marrying this person. So there's something about them that like clicks, works, you love. Right? But these are some pretty big, deep-seated issues that I would recommend digging into, diving into, and having conversations about before moving forward, because these are big. This one gets me worked up. So the overwhelming consensus is that the OP is not the a-hole. This person said, ditch the fiance, decorate and clean up the farm, start renting it as a wedding venue, profit. Actually, it's really not that bad of an idea. You might not want to ditch your fiance. Again, you got to unpack that. I would recommend getting a professional involved to help you navigate these conversations. But hey, if this farm is that important and your dad can be a part of so many weddings, right? And this farm could be used for a profit that is going to sustain you, how much would that bless him to watch that happen? Oh, I love that. So many marinara flags here. 1, your partner's already siding with his mother over you and you're not even married. Cool. 2, your partner and his mother are laughing at your dream and openly calling you poor to your face. Ha! Your ideas are not valued and are deemed illogical and horrible. 3, your partner would rather you start the marriage off with unnecessary debt instead of entertaining the idea of a free venue that's important to you because it has no sentimentality to his family. Most venues have no sentimentality to anybody. They're wedding venues. But if it happens to have sentimentality to one of the 2 people getting married, I don't know, maybe defer to that? But what do I know? 4, he's giving you the silent treatment as retaliation instead of communicating with you. Oh, not the a-hole. Okay. Run as fast as you can, and don't look back. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up with one final reading for today, and that is, oh, golly, am I the a-hole for kicking a server out of my wedding? And the overwhelming consensus is, yes, you are. I think this person deleted their Reddit account too. Oh no, I didn't pre-read this one at all. I just saw the end vote and I was like, this could get spicy. Okay, I and my husband got married last Friday. We planned our dream wedding down to our dream catering company. Awesome. The wedding was beautiful. After the pictures, we headed to our cocktail hour. That's when I saw her. My guests were all told to wear dark colors, so my husband and I stood out. What is with people being obsessed with... Okay. I also asked that my guests wear minimal makeup. I don't typically have these kinds of clients. I never have these kinds of clients. So if you're curious about what the wedding industry looks like, it ain't this, fam. I assume that applied to the staff too. Well, you know what happens when you assume. You get destroyed on Reddit. The server had on clearly too much eyeliner. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I can't stand you already. She also had diamond studs in her ears, a flashy ring, and one of those ugly nose studs. I cannot. The staff's uniform was a black long sleeve shirt, but on her, it was too low cut and her pants were far too tight. It was super distracting. She was walking around serving drinks and talking to my guests. I asked another member of staff to speak to their boss. When the boss came out, I pointed out the server and asked that she be dealt with because she was super distracting. Their boss apologized and called the server back to the kitchen. What? The boss apologized? Ooh. Ooh. Not even an hour later, the server was back out serving food for dinner. I called the boss over again and asked if the server could work in the back or go home. Her boss said that they were short-staffed tonight, so she would see what can be done. After a couple of hours of not seeing her, I saw the server again behind the bar. I called the boss out one last time and told her if the server didn't leave, I would be calling the cops. I can't stand you. I'm so sorry. You might be nice in other contexts, but my face is hot. Oh, the boss finally relented and told the girl to go home. Oh, my husband and mother-in-law said I was acting crazy and that I probably got a poor college kid fired over nothing. Oh, no, honey girl, she was not fired. No, she was not. My mother and maid of honor said it's my wedding, so I can do as I please. No, you cannot. It's my wedding and I don't want someone overshining me, and the server should know she's at work and not dress up so much. I do feel kind of bad because she was pretty young. Am I the a-hole? You are the a-hole, but don't worry. I'm sure the catering team will get it right at your next wedding. Someone said bold of you to assume they'll serve her again. You are the a-hole. Too bad you didn't get to enjoy your wedding reception because you couldn't stop obsessing over a college-age server. The things that you objected to the server could have been fixed. She could have removed her jewelry. The boss could have gotten her a shirt that covered her better, but you didn't want it fixed. You chose to complain about her and not the offending items. This was entirely your choice to not enjoy yourself. OP honestly sounds unhinged. She threatened to call the police because one of the servers was wearing jewelry and a low-cut top. I'm sick of people using the old "it's my day" line to justify treating people like crap at their weddings. You're the a-hole. You need therapy. This is not normal. Okay. There's a great response. My wedding, my rules applies to things like cake and decorations. It doesn't apply to terrorizing a catering company and its employees. The only thing that outshined you was your insecurity. You were so obsessed with how a complete stranger doing her job looked that you threatened to call the police to have her removed from her job. You are the a-hole, and you should really unpack this with a therapist, not Reddit. Okay. I think that last one hits it on the head. It is your wedding. It is your day. You have every right to enjoy it and have it be a great process. But this is not a production. It's not a show that everyone is, I can't even figure out how to process through this or like give a good response. This is so asinine. Yes, you can choose things like your decor and your music and your vendors. To go this far, I think really does speak to some insecurities, and I think that does deserve to be unpacked. You deserve to have this unpacked with a professional, not with random Redditors or some random wedding planner on the internet. Yeah, you're a bonehead. You were a total bonehead, and I'm so sorry that you felt so insecure that a server who was wearing too much eyeliner, in your opinion, and an ugly nose ring, she didn't get fired. Her boss was probably laughing with her in the back. Really and truly. Just like, the bride seems really worked up about this. She didn't lose her job over this. Guarantee you she did not. I'm going to leave that at that. You guys can let me know your comments or thoughts down below. But if you are not in the wedding industry and considering getting into it, or like are worried about who you'd be when you get married, etc., this is not normal. At least not for the weddings I work. Maybe it's a budget thing. Maybe it's I don't know. So that's all we have for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know, because my heart rate is through the roof. I'm sure my blood pressure is very high right now. So if that's entertaining for you, jump on down there, hit that like button, subscribe, stick around. I'm tossing in a few more of these because you guys seem to enjoy them so much. And if you're planning a wedding and you need help, I have a whole laundry list of resources for you in the description box down below. And until next time, bye guys!